I'm David Plunkert, and I'm a graphic designer and illustrator. We're in my studio in Baltimore, Maryland. My wife and I purchased the building in 1999. Being in Baltimore has allowed us to have a huge studio space where we can expand, where we can work on large paintings, we can make murals. We're not constrained by the size of something if we have to fabricate something large. Our space also allows us to have a gallery space where we have a show once or twice a year. My work really involves strong shapes. I like trying to come up with some idea that is surprising and hopefully witty. I try not to put elements that I don't think are necessary into the picture. So my backgrounds tend to be very simple and usually a lot of big heads and figures. Working simply allows you to explore more ideas and not worry as much about the length of execution time. And so hopefully these elements of wit and shape and color and idea will resonate with the viewer. Poster for Steppenwolf's 40th anniversary, Grapes of Wrath. Poster for the George Peabody Library on an exhibit about the John Barth collection. That was a comic page for Little Nemo in Slumberland, Dream Another Dream. One thing that I think helps communicate is trying to come up with an image that is as universal as possible. And when I think of universal images, I think in terms of cave paintings and primitive art. It's almost to the point of where by making something simple without a lot of detail, the art can start functioning like a language. I'm taking various influences from a lot of places. I'm taking from African art, from Picasso, who took from African art. I'm taking from Cassandra. I'm taking from comic books, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. A lot of folk artists who I love, especially Bill Traylor. And living artists, Seymour Quast is a huge influence on my work, just in terms of the irreverence, the humor, and the forced perspective that he puts into his pictures. And I find those various influences work better if they're subconsciously motivating you instead of consciously motivating you. If I try to draw like Seymour Quast, I'm going to fail. If I have him sort of in the back of my head while I'm doing something, it works a lot better. I'm probably best known for my collage work. This is a collection of books and old photos that I've put together over the years to help me make collages. I kind of think of it as a compost pile where I don't turn it over that frequently, so I want to be surprised by things. Tiny tin types. Definitely love all the old typography. I know generally where some things are, I know this is kind of like surgery and human body parts, and this is machine stuff, but I don't know exactly what's in every book. The struggle with collage is to be distinct. And if everybody's using the same stuff in the same way, then all the work is going to look the same. So each collage artist does have to have a different method on how they're actually assembling those elements. There are certain things in my collage work that is true of all my work, that generally it's shape-driven. There's usually a concept, there's an idea. But a number of years back, it sort of struck me that there was always a group that I probably wasn't reaching with collage. I've tried to expand to where I'm doing more graphic work, more work that's just based on form and idea. Criterion got in touch with me to design and illustrate the cover for DIABOLIQUE. My original take was more abstract than the final cover. It was really a combination of the idea of a ghost and water. And I think that there were things that Criterion really liked about it, but in the end it wasn't concrete enough. It didn't really suggest enough actual elements of the film. At that point, we really decided that we were going to show the murder happening in the bathtub. How much of the bathroom and how much of the murder do we show?
Frische Birnen,
For The Merchant of Four Seasons, the cover idea is really based on what is the iconic picture from the movie of the fruit vendor screaming to the sky. A theme of the movie is that he's short in stature, not just physically short, but the fact that he's a fruit vendor and he's unimportant to society. So the graphic plays on this with the idea that he's a short man yearning to be taller. The cover also picks up a motif of the brown bag, which is something that the fruit vendor uses on a daily basis. I think the thing that was in the back of my head was a cover that Paul Rand had done for H.L. Mencken, which was a terrible photo of H.L. Mencken that Paul Rand had cut into a provocative shape. And I always thought that was kind of interesting to have this sort of like one-picture collage. So in this regard, I'm taking this one photograph and applying it into like this other shape. For the tin drum, Criterion had seen some of my woodcut work, and I think they were thinking that that was probably in line with the expressionist themes in the movie. The actual style was influenced by World War II era woodcut artist Franz Masereel. Now, I can't cut a woodcut the same as Franz Masereel, so the actual artwork is created as a pen and ink drawing, and then I'm adding a woodcut texture. The tin drum cover is just a grab bag of elements. There's the main character, Oscar, and his tin drum. His drumsticks are sperm because the first scene in the movie is Oscar actually being born from his point of view. There's Rasputin, because I think Rasputin's in a scene. Hitler, because the movie is all set in World War II, so Hitler appears as an apparition of death. And basically the background, it weaves all the characters in from the film, and also with the backdrop of Oscar's world coming apart, which is the bombing of Germany. The most satisfying part of all my work is when I come up with an idea that I think I haven't seen before that hits those points of where there's shape, there's color, there's form, and everybody would get it. It's not so much about making a picture as it is communicating an idea, and that's something that I've taken as a calling.